Welcome to the recap of the match between Virtus Pro and Faze on Mirage of the ESL Pro League Season 4, with Faze playing with the recently acquired Alu in place of Fox. Starting on the T side, Faze made their push for mid control very apparent, and their endeavor was met by strong resistance on the defending side. Even though the attackers got nowhere with their mid approach, it opened up room on A side that was well used and allowed for a plant which Rain was able to defend with a sick 3k. Securing the pistol round allowed Faze a lot of room as they smoothly played out the following 2 rounds against opponents with lesser equipment, and losing only 1 player allowed them to build a decent bank. In the first full buy round for both teams, Virtus Pro again had to fight for mid control, which resulted in a quick trade of frags and connector control for the attacking side. Either team was out of smokes, and the ensuing A push saw frags going back and forth, with Pasha eventually deciding the round for his team. Having lost all but 1 member, the Polish economy was far from being perfect, yet they were able to deny the attacking side their attempt at taking over connector, and much like the previous round, the remaining 3 Faze members tried to take the A side. VP seemingly had some coordination and communication issues, but their tightening grip on the attackers stuck on A ramp allowed them to catch up to being only 1 round behind. Finally, the attacking side started to run out of bank, and the decision was made to spend it all, buying up 3 AKs and 2 Tech 9s. Faze hadn't yet given up on their idea of mid-heavy play, however this time around VP had a strong response. While the Poles were occupied with mid, Rain and Alu found a lot of space on the A side and were able to defend the bomb plant in a 4 vs 2, combining for a full house of frags. The defenders were so close to deplete their opponent's economy, but the heroic play of the 2 stars last round meant the contrary. Faze was able to convert both eco rounds of the Poles to extend their lead to 6-2, again keeping their players alive and building bank. VP had invested questionable amounts of money in both eco rounds, which meant another not perfect buy. Almost luckily for them, Faze aimed to throw the defending side off by a fast B rush that was met with fierce resistance. The Poles won the early exchanges and had no trouble to close out the round. Round number 10 saw a change in the approach of VP, as they decided on an aggressive push-up mid. The attacking side obviously expected such a move, holding passive positions. The Poles, however, were smart enough not to overcommit. Faze eventually made a push for mid that was lacking in execution, and the defenders found some simply earned frags. AZ ended alone on B in a 3 vs 1 where he played himself. Trying to add insult to injury, Snacks tried to knife his desperate opponent, losing his life and damaging the already very strained economy of his team. Only 2 rounds behind, VP aimed to repeat their successful mid control. This time Faze were better set up, and some key flashes allowed them to pick up the early advantage. Realizing their position, the attackers turned up the tempo, overrunning the A side. VP's economy was shattered yet again, and Faze was reaping the rewards, going up to 9 rounds and developing their own economy further. Being close to the end of the half, the Poles were able to put up another buy, though again lacking in utility. To their demise, Rain felt the need to single-handedly tear a hole in their defense by hitting 2 monstrous entries into the A side. A quick succession of trades left VP defending 2 vs 3. Faze slowed the round down, waited for mistakes, and were rewarded. No unnecessary fights were taken, and Neo was without a say in the 1 vs 3. The last round meant another force buy for the Polish side, and even though they focused heavily on A, countering the attackers' plan, the superior weaponry and utility of Faze pulled through and allowed them to finish the T half with an impressive 11-4 lead. There was hope for VP though, as the A execute just couldn't be stopped by the defenders, and the swift control of CT spawn made the round impossible for Faze, especially since there was not a single bit of utility bought up. In the next round, everything seemed to go according to plan. The Poles took quick mid control, decimating their opponents to only 2 players. What followed were some unnecessary 1 vs 1 duels that allowed Rain and AK, and VP had to defend their bomb plant 3 vs 2. Rain had other plans though. One by one he found the Polish players who played very isolated without any potential trades. Even though there was no kit present, the defuse was no issue and the disaster for VP was perfected. Still, they did not lose their composure, realizing that saving 1 round was in their best interest. Through some chaos in mid, Snacks found a way through CT into the B side, which nearly allowed his team a miracle win they so desperately needed. Yet again, Rain was too smart and kept his patience, staying alive and allowing his team to retake together. Finally, VP was in a position to buy what they needed, however their passive approach was not rewarded. Their late mid control was successful. In the meantime, they lost Bialy to Kyo pushing out of Palace, a fight that he could not afford to lose. Faze was aware of the Polish presence in mid and denied them any movement from there, and VP's round just fell apart. With the defenders being so close to winning, the Poles had to make the hard decision to eco, deciding only to invest in some utility and pistols. Their A execute was decently handled by Faze, putting them on match point. VP used the last chance to mount a comeback to get mid control another time, this time finding frags and gaining control of mid and A, leaving the defenders 2 vs 4. Rain was still on the server though, and an early kill meant the 2 vs 3 retake for Faze. Faze was not done yet, making short work of the Polish squad, who took individual fights that they were just not winning this evening. VP made way too many mistakes, and Faze, especially in the form of Rain, were excellent at punishing the Poles for them. The economical decisions by VP on the CT side were also questionable, as they invested way too much into eco rounds, always leaving them few utility and a weak economy. Thank you for watching CS Recap.